coming through all right?
Pardon?
Oh, yeah. How's that? Oh, I think that's better. Good. Okay. Right, I've been asked to talk to you. I'm Chris Van Wyck of Bunbury Bees. So I'm 50% of the partnership. The other 50% is Kate Bucci, whose name you might recognise from the paperwork. She's busy being show secretary today for the show. So if you're sort of thinking ahead, you probably see where I'm going with why we're Bunbury Bees, because having a South African name, I'm a British citizen, but born in South Africa, and an Italian name, Kate Bucci, although she was born in St Mary's. We couldn't fit that on the label on the jar, so we had to pick a name, and that name actually, if you're literally inclined, is from the importance of being earnest, because that's a made-up name, the importance of being earnest. That's the imaginary friend that he uses as an excuse to get out of family commitments, and so we thought that would be quite a good made-up name, and we're only slightly uncomfortable when the Bunbury family of the Isle of Wight actually sought us out at one of the first shows that we did, thinking that we might be long lost relatives, and that was an uncomfortable experience. But actually, they were very welcoming, and they quite like having what appears for them to be a private honey source for their personalised honey jars when they come and buy honey from us. So that's pretty nice. So we started our business only 4 years ago, growing out of a hobby and transitioning into a business, which is always a little bit of a dangerous game, because sometimes if you turn your hobby into your business, you can lose the joy of that. But it came very much out of just the natural expansion that wild animals like to do. So bees naturally expand. I started with one hive 8 years ago, but I got inspired by my mother, who'd started beekeeping as a retirement project, and then she discovered one of the first things that you find out with beekeeping, that there's an awful lot of heavy lifting, as that means you're doing it right when it's heavy, because they're filling the hive up with honey. And so the second thing that she did was buy me a bee suit and tell me I was helping. And then looking over her shoulder, going, what's that then? And finding it fascinating. I then proceeded to pick up a hive of my own, which is quite a learning experience. The bees really like to teach you a lot of lessons. The importance of doing up a zip on the bee suit being one of them. And then growing from there. And so we are now at a position where it is my full-time job, Kate's part-time job, the other part, the whole of the rest of the time being devoted to advising all of this. So she'd normally be present here and mostly kicking me in the back of the cars to remind me that I'm talking too long. So do look really bored when I've gone too far. I will pick up eventually. And so for the full-time beekeeping, you have for 4 months of the year, from April, depending on how the spring warms up, through till about mid-August, if you're lucky, sometimes finishing a bit early. You have to be visiting each of your hives at least once every 8 days, and that is very much for prevention of swarms. The swarms being the queens bringing on more than one queen, and the surplus queens going off with some of your bees and just heading to the horizon if you're unlucky and you losing your bees. And that becomes unneighbourly if you're keeping your bees in an urban or semi-urban environment. But as much as anything, it's bad business. It just hurts your production if you don't intervene with that to keep the bees under your management and producing honey for you. And so I'm aware at this event I'm possibly talking to people who know quite a lot, but just as a very brief catch-up so that people know. Your beehive life cycle is looking to go all the way through the year. So they spend the summer trying to build up enough stores of honey to last through the winter when there isn't much for them to forage on. There's some flowers that do produce food for them in the winter that if you have nice weather they're able to get out on. But they need a surplus of honey to get through the winter, and then through years of husbandry, most honeybees will actually produce way more than they need to live on through the winter. And then there's a few other things you can do that actually mean you can take more honey off than you think they really can spare if you replace it with things like sugar syrup, which we only do in the winter, so they've eaten all of that, so that's not then contaminating our product. We want our product to be 100% naturally foraged. In the course of their year's cycle of doing that, in the spring, quite often, earlier the better, around May time, they'll start to look to swarm. And so within that beehive, they'll have up to 20,000 worker bees in a sensibly sized hive, quite often more. There should be, at any one time, one queen. And if you have more than one queen, usually one of them is going to fly off with half of your bees looking for a new place to live. And that's when they end up on local news, setting up in people's cars, chimneys and things like this, and generally making a pain of themselves. And so, through the course of our inspections, what we're looking for is them bringing on extra queen eggs. And if you catch them doing that, you can actually manage that. So typically, every hive of mine I will look to expand, look to split down into two every year. The second one with a new queen, she will then need to be mated, and so she will fly out and mate at the beginning of her life, and that's the only time that she'll be mated in the course of her life. She will fly out to what's called a drone assembly. So the third type of bee that you will find in a hive is the drone, the male bee. They exist only in the summer, so they're a little bit like swallows. As a beekeeper, we're quite pleased to see them. When you see your first drones, that means summer's here. Their daily life in the summer is they fly out to what's called a drone assembly. On a nice day, they fly out and join drones from all the neighbouring hives and wild colonies to just fly about. And the queen, when she needs to be mated, she will go to them, at which point the drones will drive themselves to death to be the ones that get to mate with the queen. And these are usually very high up in the air. One of the only ways that you can find them is dead and dying drones on the floor, because they'll exhaust themselves to be in the select few. They'll fly until they die to be the ones to mate with that queen. One of the things, if you do find one, and I've never been able to find one, they're there, but they're just hard to detect. But I'm told one of the fun things you can do is, if you have a catapult and a stone, if you shoot that through the swarm, through the drone assembly, you'll see almost a comet's tail of drones chasing it in hope, because they have just that one job to do. They are there to breed, and they do nothing else. At the end of the year, the worker bees will cull them. So we know when the summer is over from our point of view in early to mid-August, when we get dead drones out the front of the hive, because the worker bees will kill them, because they are another mouth to feed through the water through the winter, and they have no more role to fulfill. And so it's quite cutthroat. And an awful lot of what bees do are brutally pragmatic. If a queen fails to mate well, and she's just not very good, she will lay a few eggs, and I've had it this year a couple of times now, where the worker bees go, this queen isn't very good, they will kill her and bring on one of her eggs to give them to bring on and have another chance at mating. So I had this year, at the time when most of the hives were doing their queen bringing on, they were hatching out at the 4 days of really bad weather we had about a month ago when it was raining. And so I did have quite a few queens fail to mate in this. They have about a week to do it before they're actually kind of going stale, and if they mate, they won't mate very well. So I've had a few hives this year where they've brought on a queen who's been able to lay a few eggs, and then they've killed her and brought on another one. They're brutally pragmatic. Right now, at this point of the year, it's actually quite a show, it's a terrible time. I'm about to sell out of honey. I've left my mum behind the table over in the food pavilion, and I think I'm looking at about 11 jars of honey, and that is the whole of my stock right now. We had sold out of last year's I think I sold my last jar in May. I've put aside a waiting list, so a few people have ordered, and I've put some aside, so I've got that's going out on Monday, and then I'm hoping that after I finish this review, I'm going to go back and that'll be done. Then I'll actually be able to go out and enjoy the show, because I love this kind of thing, and I can hide behind the desk, behind a table. And so, yes, I'm a little bit uncomfortable about that. My head knows that the honey's there to be sold, but I get quite excited about a big pile of sticky gold. I get much more excited about that than a number at the bottom of the bank statement, that's not a good business head, but I get a little bit sad when I've not got very much honey to sell. But that was, so the honey that we've sold today, that's everything that I've been able to glean from the spring honey, which wasn't very much. The bees didn't have much ready. It's ready when it's below 19% water. So when they bring in nectar, it's quite runny. It's got quite a high water content. But bees evaporate off that water until it's concentrated enough that it won't ferment by itself. At which point, in the honeycomb, they cap it off with wax, and that will then keep indefinitely. One of the jobs that really annoys me is having to put a sell-by date on our jars, because it's ridiculous. It's a process in my daily work that is only necessary because someone in Whitewater said I had to. But they dig up, if you keep it airtight, they dig up honey in Egyptian tombs that's still good. It will keep forever because it's so dry, and this is one of the main sources of its antibacterial properties, is that it will dry out bacteria. It will actually dehydrate the bacteria so they can't function. It is, however, hygroscopic. If you let air at it, it will absorb air, moisture from the air, and then as soon as it goes over the 19% water thing, it will then start to ferment, which does mean that you get mead, which isn't bad. Every year I have a proportion of my honey that is over the 19%, so I put that aside and I make mead. As our business grows, we're at a point now where the amount of mead I would make is no longer for my personal consumption. I would die now. And so one of the things that we want to do with our business is actually start to, so there's obviously you have to get some licensing things that are apparently not as onerous as you might imagine, but they have to be done. So we're able to brew meat, and there's certain testing and quality control and things that we have to do with that as well. But that's something that I want to do. The sad thing about that is if I start that now, that won't be available for 2 years. Mead needs to mature quite a lot before it's drinkable. It's not like sort of other homebrewed wines that some of those are quite good early, or if you make your own beer. That's not a very long process from start to a happy evening. Mead is sharp and unpleasant for a couple of years. So quite often if you make it at home, you'll unbottle it and drink it. You'll almost be ready to tip it down the drain. You mustn't do that if you don't make mead yourself. Put the cork back on or the lid back on if you're using screw top. Put it away for 6 months and try again. It will quite often come good. It will mature quite well. And so yes, so the rest of that's going into our jars. We're always trying to diversify. So we get asked a lot for cup cones, which at the moment our volume is, so it's a whole other process. Our time, when we get to the point where both of us are full time on it, we'll be able to do that kind of thing. But it doubles the workload of the production side of things after the bees are finished. And so we will do that because people do ask, but not enough people ask for it to be worth our time at the moment. Also wax. People don't understand how valuable wax is, but wax is extremely valuable. When you start beekeeping, you have to spend thousands just on wax, so you have to put wax sheets in the frames of honeycomb to keep it straight. If you just let them do their own thing, bees make wiggly honeycomb that you can't work with. It's a nightmare. It gets in the way of itself. It all interlocks, and trying to pull it out to inspect it, you're breaking it. And breaking honeycomb is one of the things that send bees wild. They will sting you a lot when you break honeycomb. So you're spending quite a lot just on wax. And so I am reusing wax at various stages. So every time that I have wax come in, I'm melting that, reusing that, and getting that into different sheets. But you do start to build up a surplus of that. So that's one of the products that we sell. When people find out we're a beekeeper, they sometimes ask for freebies. So I've had quite a few friends or family have to be disappointed. They say, "Oh, could you spare a little money?" It's like, yes, take my car as well. And they look at you as though you're mean, but it's a key business, part of our livelihood to be. That's one of our products. But wax is a really valuable product for us. We reuse an awful lot of it. We have 2 grades. So wax that just comes from honeycomb that's got too old is really good for candles and things like that, or making polishes, which is something we want to develop as our surface increases. When you take the honey out of the honeycomb, the most beautiful wax is the cappings wax. So you have the honeycomb and they put the wax over the top, that's how you know it's ready. When you cut that off, that goes separate. You keep that aside because that's beautiful new white wax, and that's our grade 1 wax. Now we're keeping that aside actually to start making cosmetics, which I've been banned from doing anything to do with. Kate was very cross when I started muscling in on her candle making action because she really enjoys the process of making candles. And then I looked at it with a bit of envy, and I tried making some candles as well, and now she's really cross at me because she liked that being her thing. So the cosmetics have been ring fenced. I have to leave that alone. Kate is going to do that, which is a pity because that looks quite good. Also, we've been asked a few times now whether we would make a surf wax. Now, if you know surfers or if any of you surf, obviously waxing the board to have a good grip on it and not fall off is quite an important thing. And surfers are really into local, natural products, and so that is something that we're looking to develop as well. So there's an awful lot more than just the honey. One of the other things is we are artificially breeding queens now. Now that's mostly for our own use, to be able to select our best hives and look to draw those genes down to our next generation. So I have one hive from 2 years ago. All of my hives were like, I'd be wearing a much nicer shirt for a start. So one of my hives has made a huge amount of honey that we do. And so we have isolated that queen, and we're trying to encourage them to bring on more queens from her line to try and get the good qualities of her to pass down. Now, if you start to develop a really good reputation for bee husbandry, you can actually sell queens in the mail. And I've bought in queens before now. There's a few places that have legendarily good quality queens. Buckfast Abbey in Devon is famously one of the best sources of queens. The Buckfast line is very well-tempered, mild bees that are very productive and make a lot of honey. And so, but if you're able to breed bees like that, you can sell a queen in a little plastic cage with a couple of worker bees to keep her fed, and they go through the post in a jiffy bag, first class, for £80–90 a go. So if you're not able to go at quite that quality, you're looking at down to 50 or 30, but that's still another income stream. Have a reputation that people want your queens, and that takes a little bit of doing to get up to that. But at the moment we're bringing on queens just for us, but it's something that I'm looking to develop and market there. The postman is always quite surprised that he's just handed you a queen. I did answer the door once and that's my queen. I've got a queen bee in there. You start to see it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable because people do get very worried about these. One of the things you'll find with most beekeepers is they're quite circumspect about saying exactly where their hives are. It's a lot like why pirates are circumspect about telling you where their treasure's buried, because that's my business right there, and the value there. Bee theft is a real problem. A friend of mine is just getting started in London, and bee theft in London is an amazing problem. And I'd like to get my hands on it, because that's wrong. Because someone who's got the knowledge to know what to do to steal bees, to do that, they know how much hard work and heart goes into a beehive as well. So they know what they're doing to somebody when they do that. It's a wicked thing to do. But bee theft is one of the issues. One of the other ones is just the public perception of honeybees. So you get stung by honeybees when you mess with the hive. When they're out foraging on the flowers, they've got a job to do and they do not care about you. Unless you put your hand right on them, they're not going to sting you. But honeybees are much more likely to sting you than bumblebees because they're much more defensive around the hive and they're just more numerous in there. A typical bumblebee nest in a hole in the wall has got maybe 200 bumblebees in it. Honey producing hive will have 20,000 honeybees. So just from the numbers, it's worse for you if you mess with it. You're going to get stung an awful lot more. And one of the other things, just the general fear of that, if people know exactly where your hives are, they get stung by a stinging nettle and they're knocking on your door saying, one of your bees stung me, because not everybody in the public is entirely rational. I wish I was more optimistic. I miss innocent, positive from a few years ago, but just the way that people, I've had people say, oh yes, I think it was one of your bees stuck in it. It's like, really, can you describe the bee? And similarly, having to handle neighbours. Now, I have a policy, when we site a hive, if anybody complains about it, I move it somewhere else. I just don't want the trouble. I won't fight them over it. I won't explain how foolish they are and exactly how they're wrong. I just let them be wrong. But I haven't got enough time to fight that. Other times, legitimately, we have moved them off. So until very recently, 2 years ago, we had some hives doing wonderful work in a back garden in Northwood, and they made really nice honey. Gardens are amazing. And then all of a sudden, they became unneighbourly and started stinging people, and it's just they had to move off because I don't move my hive somewhere to make someone else's life miserable. So they had to move off, which is a pity because gardens are much better than the countryside most of the time. Gardens, no one's putting pesticides on your bees, which is nice. It's drought proof as well. When it goes dry, gardeners get the hose out. No one's hosing the hedgerows and brambles and wildflowers for you, but they'll get the hose out in the garden. And then of course gardens are quite often planted exotically as well. So any type of year, something in someone's garden will actually be really thriving, and the bees will go wild for it. This year we've been watching bees in towns going all over the yucca trees. The lovely white blossom they had until a couple of weeks ago. Bees are crazy for that. Towns are amazing. People who keep bees in London do really, really well because people plant these exotic gardens. Any bit of derelict ground, the first weeds that come up, the honeybee heaven. Ragwort, they're crazy for. Bramble, they absolutely love. Buddleia, not so much. Buddleia is great for everything else. The bumblebees and the butterflies love buddleia and honeysuckle. The honeybees actually got one of the shortest tongues, and they can't get to the nectar in those. So that's one they don't like, but they love. If you plant lavender, thank you. Really appreciate it. I'm looking at all of this and going, yeah, thank you for that. That's helping me a great deal. But actually, in the countryside, last year we had quite a bad season in our countryside one. So one of the sites that I've got is Carisbrook, and that's out along Clapham Road, and it's green as far as the eye can see. Last year, where the spring was soggy just as the buds were forming on critical things, and then it was quite dry, they did absolutely nothing. Whereas the ones I've got in the middle of St Helens were amazing because they're right in the middle of lots of lovely, lovely gardens. This year, in a normal year, your wildflowers will do you really well. So this year, Carisbrook turned right around. The hives are already really heavy. They're absolutely piling it away right now, and it's just about how long. So for me this year, the next 6 weeks are critical. If we get a little bit of rain and a lot of sun, and just keep the ground, the roots of the nectar-producing flowers wet, so that they're able to keep producing that nectar, for the next 6 weeks, that would be perfect. And then just at the end of the season, the cut-off is really sudden. The flowers just suddenly stop, and you stop getting any new honey in it. Like that, it just stops. And so come August, if we're still getting it, which you do, last year we did, particularly in the garden, we pushed to the second week of August before it stopped. You're there just one week, another half week, just 3 more days, because it all starts to add up, and then when it stops just like that, and then you're getting ready for winter, so the last of the honey comes off, you're looking at how much they've got, you're looking to maybe feed them some sugar syrup just to top up so that they've got enough to go through. And then in your winter, you're doing a lot of the cleaning up of the equipment, and you're getting the honey ready, and you're selling the honey, and then come about January, you're going out and you're just lifting the bottoms of the hives just to have a little idea of what the weight is. And if they start getting light, then you can't give them sugar syrup once it's winter because they find it hard to evaporate off the excess moisture again, and so they would then start to go mouldy in the hive with syrup. You actually give them cake icing and give them fondant. We were buying in just fondant, then we realised we were chucking money away. I actually then now buy in icing sugar and a little bit of glycerin, and most of my winter mornings are spent doing these whole huge batches of icing sugar to make fondant. To go out, I roll it out into a little sheet, and I lift the lid up and put it on top of the brown board for the bees to eat, and then they eat that away. And then that's always quite nice, because if there's any that they haven't eaten if they take that and put that in the honeycomb, that's really easy to identify because it's white. I keep thinking maybe I'd add some food colouring in to make it extra easy to identify. So you're then able to take that off again once the nectar flow started, so that's not getting into your food chain, so you're able to make sure that the honey is 100%. There's an awful lot of commercial honey, a lot of the cheap honey you buy in the supermarket, there's skullduggery in there. So they will pasteurise that, and they do that because, for much the same reason as they reject like slightly bent carrots and things like this, they think that the British public are more finicky than they really are. They don't like the honey to crystallise, but adulteration in international honey is a real problem. And so I'm always very keen to promote people supporting any local beekeeper. So there's a lot of beekeepers on the island, and I'm not competing with them. I have no problem with those, and we're all like that. We all know, so we're very friendly. It doesn't hurt me at all. I'm still selling all of my honey. I'm not failing at selling honey, because at the moment the statistics are only 18% of all honey eaten in the UK is produced here, and the rest is imported. And it's just until 100% is, beekeepers aren't competing with each other. You know, we're competing with China and the importers. Any work that I'm doing, you know, if you do buy from somebody else, I'm not a little bit but you know, local beekeepers are really who I would encourage them to support. And if you're not from the island, I'm meeting people from all over today. You know, when you go away, support a local beekeeper, because that's how you'll be getting a real product. When you buy cheap, you don't know what you're buying. It's very, very hard to do that. I'm made to talk too long. I do that. It's amazing. When I'm selling, some people buy a jar of honey just to shut me up, which is good. So just good lungs and keeping my throat wet is quite a good selling strategy. I'm happy to take any questions. I don't know whether that's really the format they had in mind. If any of you have got anything to ask about beekeeping, I'm happy to answer that. Or if you are satisfied that you've heard enough of my voice, I will go and seek out a cup of tea. I'll talk a while. Pleasure. Right, you can get a good idea. So certain things are very strong. So if you didn't hear, the question was, can you tell from the honey what flowers are? So you can scientifically, if you have a microscope and you understand pollen, you can identify from the pollens. You can do it that way. From the flavour, in general terms, so you can't tell every single thing that's in the makeup. So we had 3 out today, one of them's sold. So I've got 6 locations that I keep my honey in, and the flavour is distinctive across all of them. And actually the 3 that we had this week, because I only had them out the hive 2 weeks ago, it changes every year and it changes at the time of year. So this is spring honey is different to main crop honey. I was actually bowled over because I didn't have a proper side-by-side taste until this morning, because I realised I'm going to have to talk to customers about this. I haven't even tasted the honey yet. So I tried. So we've got St Helens, which is right in the middle of St Helens, right by all the gardens there. I've got some up on Wroxall Down, so that's all wildflower. And I've got some from Ryde, which are actually on an allotment site in Ryde. And you can take the difference to describe them. The St Helens, I hope I don't make it sound too good because we've sold out, so if it sounds tasty to you, I'm sorry about that. But the St Helens was really zingy, appley. It didn't taste of apples, but it had that zing like apples have. And that's from the apple blossom, and that imparts quite a strong flavour on it. The Wroxall one, there's a lot of hedgerow up there, and it's quite caramelly, and that's actually from hawthorn. And hawthorn's one of the ones where the smell of the flower and the taste of the honey are not quite the same, because hawthorn's quite clawing, the smell of hawthorn when it's strong. The honey's lovely. The honey is really nice and caramelly and nice, but that's lavender's the same. Lavender honey doesn't taste like lavender smells, but it is very nice and it's prolific. You get lots of it, so it's meant to be right. The Ryde one from the allotments, sweet and light. I think that's probably quite a lot of sort of pea and bean flour, particularly early in the year. Lots of bulk to that. To me, a boring flavour, but lots of people actually like that. Quite a lot of people don't like a too rich honey, and that's nice. And then Ryde is right in the middle of a bramble patch, and bramble is like that. Bramble is really light and just a little bit flowery, but it's not too much. Bramble is wonderful stuff because it gives you lots of nectar. and the honey derived almost entirely from bramble is a very light honey. It's not too strong at all, and so rye will be similar to that. The St Helens will change completely. So in 6 weeks' time, what I take from St Helens, it'll have none of that apple blossom in anymore because I've just sold all of that. About now, the ragwort comes out on the waste ground over the harbour, and the bees suddenly start going that way because they absolutely adore ragwort. Now, I was reading in Bee Farmers Monthly, the magazine that we get through the door, that bees don't like ragwort. That's because if you put 2 beekeepers in a room, you'll get 3 opinions. But my bees definitely are crazy for ragwort, and I absolutely love ragwort honey. It's really flowery, it's quite richly flowery, and you get quite a lot of that. And that's just starting now, and the bees will go mad for that. They absolutely love that. And so you can tell in general terms, but you can't tell the whole makeup without having quite a good microscope and being more scientific. Any other questions? Thank you very much for being a nice audience. It's lovely. And if you're lucky, there might still be some honey on sale over there.